Hi, Story family, what's up? I was gonna wait till my husband got home from work to use like his big fancy real person camera to make this video, but I got impatient. So I am making an iPhone video. Probably doesn't look super official, but you'll get the news either way, so who cares? Okay, I'm really excited to share with you guys what's been going on the last couple of months. So I'm gonna jump in with like our biggest piece of news because I just can't wait to say it. Since you guys last heard from us, we have placed 2 kids with Guatemalan foster families. So just about 2 weeks ago, our team placed a 3-month-old baby and a 13-year-old girl with Story accredited foster families. I cannot emphasize enough how excited and humbled and hopeful our team is about this. And let me clarify here. So obviously we're not excited that 2 kids are separated from biological family. Totally not what we're celebrating. What we're celebrating is that when that does have to happen, when tragically a child does have to be separated from the biological family, today in our region in Guatemala, there are now safer care alternatives, meaning that child does not have to be sent to an orphanage. And if you're new here, which actually quite a few of you are, I've recently signed up for our newsletter, you might be like, okay, so what's so bad about being sent to an orphanage? And I would encourage you to go back and look at some of our social media posts, but you know, there have been so many studies done, and our own experience has proved all of the data that in general kids have much poorer outcomes in orphanages. Unfortunately, because of the nature of high staff turnover, rotating caregivers, high staff to child ratios, they're just not able to form any sort of healthy attachment with a primary caregiver, which is detrimental to their development, especially in the early years of life. Kids in orphanages are at a higher risk of being abused and neglected. And yeah, they do have poor outcomes. There have been studies that showed that kids coming out of residential care, who age out of residential care, are actually 500 times more likely to commit suicide than their peers. I remember the first time I heard that stat, I was like, wait, 500 times, that has to be wrong. Like maybe 5 times, maybe 50 times. No, 500 times more likely to commit suicide. So I say those things because I want you to understand why we're so excited that we've placed 2 kids in foster care. We recognize foster care is not a perfect system by any means, but it is leaps and bounds ahead of a residential care model. And we feel so honored to be kind of leading the charge in that. We've been working for so many years for this moment right here to be able to tell you guys this. I was just thinking back to there's probably like a year and a half there where I would talk with donors and I would be like, what do I tell them? Because all of our work was so behind the scenes. Like we were just meticulously building out this foster care program from, ground zero. We were negotiating with the government. We were educating the community. We were, recruiting families, and then everything, for the most part kind of came to a screeching halt in 2020. We weren't able to go out in the community and educate and recruit families and train families. We did some virtual things, but just didn't have as much traction as we'd hoped with that. Anyway, there was just such a long stretch where it was like, man, our team knew the significance of what we were doing. But it felt like, we weren't able to quite yet deliver results. And that was frustrating for us because we knew, like I said, we were doing kind of our most significant work to date, but didn't necessarily have too much to show for it. And that is shifting. All of those years of work are starting to have real impact. They're impacting the lives of actual people, of actual kids coming into the system. And I'm just so proud. I'm so proud of our team. I'm so proud of our commitment to this. It would have been really easy to quit, in this process. We've lost a lot of support as we've shifted our model. It's been tiring, it's been frustrating, and but we're here and it's working. The 2 kids, obviously they've only been, in these homes for a couple of weeks, but they're doing well. Our social workers tell me. And we have actually 3 more families in pipeline in the process of being accredited. So we are on our way to having 5 accredited foster families, which maybe you're like, that's not that many, but actually it is. Compared to 0, it's a lot. You know what? I was actually talking to somebody who runs a foster care system in the States that is like the charity arm of a very large restaurant chain in the States. Think Chicken. I won't name the organization, but she was telling me they've been running their foster care program only for 4 years, and they have 16 families. And I was like, man, I don't know. It made me feel really good about the work our team is doing, because they've been doing this for 4 years. They have 16 families, and they have like all the funding and all the staffing they could ever want in the world. And obviously we're working in a little bit more of a limited capacity, and in Guatemala, where versus the States where foster care is well known. In Guatemala, it's like we have to do all of this behind the scenes work, getting people to even sort of get on the same page with us before we can even begin considering, asking a family to foster. So if we have 5 families here pretty soon, I actually feel pretty good about that. And we know the future is bright. We know the future is really exciting. So the other piece of news that I will share with you that kind of goes alongside this first piece of news is that we actually have phased out our emergency shelter. So for those of you that know, or those of you that don't know, sorry, we basically had a kind of a bridge program. While we were building out our foster care program, we ran an emergency shelter called Refuge 91, which is basically a very small scale residential facility. And the idea with that is that it was meant to be a gatekeeping service, in the sense that if kids were coming into the system while we were still building out our foster care program, we didn't want them to be sent to other departments, which is like the equivalent of like other counties in Guatemala, because when that happens, that child's chances of being reunified with their biological family decrease significantly, just because of distance. So we were running this, short-term, small-scale facility. In the last 2 years, we actually never had more than like 8 kids in our care at a time. And we were actually able to successfully reunify most of those kids with biological family, which is really exciting. But basically, as we get ready to kind of scale and really run with our foster care program, we made the decision to officially phase that program out and kind of roll our resources into our foster care program. So we, transitioned some staff, and actually the really exciting part of it is our caretakers there, who are these like super well-trained, well-equipped, passionate people. 3 of them one of them is already an accredited foster family, and 2 of them are in the accreditation process. So it was a really a shift that made a ton of sense for us. And it's going to allow our team to really focus in on our preservation, our family strengthening efforts, and our foster care program. So there's that. Talking about family preservation, so the third and kind of last program here that we haven't talked about is our family strengthening program, which is our prevention program, working to keep vulnerable families that are potentially at risk of being separated together by providing services. So our team's been doing a ton of good work. In the month of June, we were able to provide counseling, both individual counseling and group counseling, to 72 individuals, which I think is awesome. We have about 20 kids in private one-on-one tutoring with a teacher that we have hired. So unfortunately, in 2020, when everything went virtual, so many of the kids we work with fell behind. I mean, you guys know in the States, distance learning has been so difficult for kids. So you can only imagine somewhere like Guatemala, where there's less access to technology. Some of the families we work with don't even have consistent access to electricity, much less internet, much less a home laptop. So unfortunately, a lot of the kids fell behind. Our team has been working, hand in hand with those families, and we eventually just decided to hire a full-time teacher to help get them caught up, because in Guatemala, classes are all still completely virtual. And then the last kind of program that falls under the category of family preservation is our after school program. So at the School of Hope, we are open at sort of a small, how do you say that? Reduced capacity for the summer. So we are doing a summer English course. We have 2 teachers from the States, one from Mexico, doing a 2-month long English course, and it's been really fun. It's been really cool to have our students back in the building. We have a little bit over 100 students enrolled. We're able to do, we have the English piece, which is our full immersion classes. We also have, we're providing homework help and free lunches for our scholarship students, which has been such a tangible need we've been able to meet for our families that have really, really struggled in this last year and a half. So that's what our team is doing. It's a lot. We got foster care, we got school, we got family preservation over here. Our team is working really, really hard. It's sad in Guatemala, in the States we're returning to somewhat of a sense of normalcy. That's not really the case in Guatemala. COVID cases are at like an all-time high. Hospitals are overwhelmed. The vaccine rollout has been really slow. And we've had several people on our team get sick. I'm so proud of the work that just the commitment our team has to do this work, even amidst such difficult circumstances. So that is the update. As always, if you guys have questions, like, we're a small team. There's like, we have our team of 20 Guatemalans. If you ever want to talk to one of them, I can set up a call. There's myself, and we have 2 other U.S. staff members on our team. If you guys ever like have questions, or you're like, hey, I want to know more about how your foster care program works, how do you find families, how do you train them, like, we would love to hop on a call with you, for real. Like, I'll give you my personal cell phone number. We're so passionate about our work. We love talking about it. Never hesitate to reach out with questions. I forgot a super important part of the update. Okay, so our admin team has been working on something super, super, super exciting, and I can't believe I almost forgot to mention this. I'm so sorry. This video is almost already 12 minutes long. We are scratching our short-term missions program and launching something totally new. So this is something we've been thinking into and praying into and thinking into again for a while. I personally was at a point where I was like, we're just not going to do short-term missions. We could not figure out a model that we felt good about. We could not figure out a model that made sense for our organization. And we really couldn't figure out a model that we could get behind. And then we had like an aha moment of like an alternative. So we are launching something called advocacy trips. It is different. It is wildly different from what you probably typically associate with a short-term mission trip or a service trip. I think it's really, really, really cool. Our team has been working really hard to make sure that we provide you with resources to understand why we're structuring the model the way that we are. So in the newsletter you just received, there are 2 resources that I would really pretty please ask you to read. We put a lot of heart and soul into them. You don't have to agree with everything that's written there, but I would just love to engage in conversation with you. So the first resource is called Reimagining Missions, and it's basically a 20-page, it's like a whopper, kind of laying the groundwork for why the typical model, what we understand to be the model for short-term missions, is potentially problematic or is potentially not best. And so we have a couple different voices in there. There's, I've written some articles, some other members on our team have written articles. We have some Guatemalans who have written articles on this. So I think it will be super interesting for you to read. Please know that we write that whole resource from a place of great humility. We have led short-term teams for many, many years, and a lot of the mistakes that we're kind of highlighting in that resource, we have committed over and over and over again. So this is not like us pointing the finger. This is us just inviting people into a conversation. So please read that. It's called Reimagining Missions. It's on our website. There's a link to it in this email. And if you would like a physical copy sent to your door, just email me your address. Email info@storyintl.org, and I will put it in the mail like tomorrow. I really want to get this in people's hands. I think it's super important. And then the other thing that you'll see is the actual kind of outline of the new trip structure. Like I said, it's really different. I'm not going to go into detail on this video because the resource is going to do a much better job of explaining it. I might do something on social media if you're interested in hearing about it, from not on a paper, where I kind of break it down. I'm not going to do it in this video. So please read those things. We are launching this now. It's launched. We're doing it. We actually already have our first team signed up for 2022, which is so fun. To be honest, we've been working on this for months, and we feel really good about the model. We obviously didn't know how it would be received, and we've pitched it to a couple of our close partners, and the first team to say yes was from the University of Georgia. It had to, go through these different, people to get approved, so we were kind of like, oh, is this too out there? Are they going to go for it? And they are. So we have our first team coming in 2022. Yeah, we're really excited about it. Please read the resources, and yeah, we're here to talk about it if you have questions. And I hope it is life-giving and interesting and challenging to you. So that's the last thing. I'm really glad I didn't forget that. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching these videos or reading our newsletters. If you are able, I do ask that you consider giving a gift this month. I just told you all this exciting stuff that's happening, and then alongside that, we're just in a really tough spot financially. Just like being fully transparent. We just are. 2020 was hard for us. We've not hosted an in-person fundraiser in a very long time, since 2019 actually. And we've just kind of been stuck. We've had a lot of our, low to mid-level donors cancel, people who donate $50 a month, just saying, I can't do this anymore. Obviously, people's finances have been affected by COVID, and we get it. We obviously for sure get it, but we just are kind of just now starting to feel the cumulative effects of that. So if you can give a gift, please do. We, don't do like fundraisers all throughout the year. We try not to always be asking for money because we really are passionate about advocacy and just partnering with our supporters and, not having this be transactional. But yeah, we are needing to raise about $5,000 to get through the next month. So if you can help us get there, please do. There's a link in the newsletter to do that. Wow, this video is so long. If you're still here, I love you. I have this no word to say. Thanks for watching. Okay, see you next quarter.